Alright, and we're on lesson 58. This is solving percent problems with equations. Make sure you get your objective here. And here's how percents work, okay? A percent of a whole is a part. So part of something is a percent of a whole as well. Okay, so there are two different percent equations that I'm going to give you that you can use for this lesson. The first one is percent times the whole equals the part. Okay? And the reason this works is because a percent of means multiply, a whole, the word is means equals, a part. Okay? And another way that we can do this is to say our part over our whole is equal to the percent over 100. Or we use the words is over of equals percent over 100. Okay, so notice is over of equals percent over 100. Or again, another way to think about it is the part over the whole. Alright, so let's go on with some examples here. Alright, now the very first thing that I'm going to do before I forget is write the two methods that I just gave you here. Okay, so the first one we've got is percent times the whole equals the part, or is over of equals percent over 100. Okay, so it says 32 ounces is 25% of a gallon. Okay, how many ounces is a gallon? So let's think about this. 32 ounces is 25% of a gallon. So my percent, we know that. Okay, they give us the percent right here. It's 25 times. Now we need to think about, is 32 ounces the part or the whole? Okay, well, ounces are less than gallons. Okay, so that is going to be the part. So I'm trying to figure out what my whole is here. And my part is 32. Okay, and sorry, I should put 25% times whole. Okay, so my whole that I want to know is gallons. Okay, well, percent, remember, we shouldn't leave percent like this because we like to forget it's out of 100. Okay, so we could write this as a fraction, or we could write it as a decimal, whatever we're the most comfortable with. Okay, I'm going to put it in decimal form, so that's 0.25 times my whole, that's gallons. Okay, I want to know the gallons, and that equals 32. Okay, so to solve this, I'm going to divide by 0.25 on both sides to get rid of the multiplies. Okay, and dividing and multiplying by 0.25 cancel, leaves me with gallons. Then I need to do 32 divided by 0.25. Well, remember, I have to adjust the decimal, which means I'm going to adjust the decimal here, so I'm going to rewrite this as 3,200 divided by 25. 25 goes into 32 once. That leaves me with 70. 25 goes into 70 twice. And 2 times 25 is 50. And I subtract, and I get 2, 0, and then I got to bring down this 0. And 25 goes into 208 times. Okay, so it's 128. So my answer is, again, I want to know how many ounces is a gallon. So my answer is a gallon is 128 ounces. Okay, so now let's use the other method here, because we can use them both to solve this. Okay, again, is over of equals percent over 100. Well, this says 32 ounces is, so that's my is part, is 32. This part always never changes right here, the 100, because percent's always out of 100. Now we need to think, is the other number we're given the percent or the whole, the of part? Well, it says 25%. Okay, so that goes over here. And then it says of a gallon. Okay, so we got 32 ounces is, so that goes in the is spot, of a gallon. We don't know the gallon part, so we're going to put a G there. Okay? Well then, we could use cross products to solve this. So I'm going to get 25 times G equals 32 times 100 is 3200. And then I would divide each side by 25. And look here, 3200 divided by 25. I did that right here. So that's 128. And I get the same answer either way. So I say whichever method you understand better, that's up to you, okay? Pick the one that you like. If you like percent times a whole equals a part, then that's fine, use that method. If you like is over of equals percent over 100, this one's my favorite, okay? And then use proportions, then use that method, okay? Let's go through some more examples. Alright, so again, example 2, I'm going to show you both methods, okay? We're going to use the percent times a whole equals a part. We're also going to use is over of equals percent over 100. Okay? Now, to be able to do either one of these, we have to understand how this works. Okay? So this says Mr. Valeska's bought a used car for $8,500. The sales tax rate was 7%. How much did Mr. Valeska's pay in tax? Okay? So let's think about this as a sentence. Okay? We know that tax is a percent of the price. Okay? We know that tax is a percent of the price. So in this case, how much I pay in tax is going to be some percentage, whatever the tax percentage is, of the total price. Well, think about what we know here. I know how much I paid. That's the total price. I know the percent. So basically here, I'm trying to figure out what the tax is. Okay, how much the tax is. So I want to know what is 7% of $8,500. Okay, that's what I'm trying to find out. What is 7% of $8,500? So either method, if we use this one, I know it's 7% times, I know the whole here, okay? The whole is the total amount I paid, $8,500. And that's going to equal my part, how much I paid in tax. Okay? So again, we don't leave 7% as a percentage. We need to write it as either a fraction or a decimal. So as a decimal, it's 0.07 times 8,500 equals our part. Okay? Now if we multiply these, I'm going to go up here in the right hand corner so I have a little room. I'm going to multiply 8,500 times 0.07. Okay? And we get 0, 0, 5 times 7 is 35, carry the 3, 7 times 8 is 56, plus 3 is 59. We don't need to do the second row because it's going to be all zeros, so I just need 2 decimal points on this. So it's going to be $595. Okay, so $595 is my tax on this car. Alright. Now again, another way is to use the is over of equals percent over 100. Well, this here, my sentence I wrote says what is, okay, remember the is the part. So tax is always the part. So I want to know that. I want to know what is the tax. It says of $8,500, so $8,500 is going to go in my of spot. And then it's percent over 100, so 7 over 100. And again, I can use cross products here and get 100 times T equals 8,500 times 7. Okay, well, 8,500 times 7 is 0, 0, 35. Carry the 3 and we get 59, so that's 59,500. And then I would solve this by using the equation and divide by 100 on both sides, which would still get me $595. So again, notice on this method, two ways to think about this: is over of, okay, also is part over whole. So the whole price went on the bottom. The part is the tax. I wanted to know that, okay, how much money am I paying in tax? So I didn't know that. That's what I wanted to find out. And the percent always goes over 100. And if we use the is over of method, I think of this as what is. So what goes with the word is. That means I don't know that. I need the variable there. 7%, that means 7 out of 100. Of 8,500, that's why the 8,500 went on the bottom. All right, and let's move on to another. All right, example 3. For these, if you read the problem, okay, I'm not going to read the problem for you, but I'm just going to tell you that for these, we just want to decide whether we need to write the percent as a decimal or a fraction. We don't even need to solve it. Okay, so now for A, it says the sales tax rate is 8.25%. We want to know what's the sales tax on $18.97 purchase. Okay, now look at this decimal here. This decimal stops. Okay, anytime we could write it as a decimal and the decimal would stop, we probably want to write it as a decimal because that'll give us the most exact answer. Okay, and be the easiest to work with. Because if I wanted to write this as a fraction, it would be 8.25 over 100, and that would get just way too messy. Okay, to have a decimal over 100. So in this case, we want to write it as a decimal. That's pretty straightforward. Okay, now for B, says the shirts are 33 1/3%. Now let's think about this. If we took this and wrote as a fraction, one way would be to have 33 1/3 over 100. Okay, but if we wrote it as a decimal, it had to be 33 and then this right here, 1/3 is 0.3 repeating. So that 0.3 never stops. So basically, to write as a decimal, we would have to round it. And we don't want to round. We want exact answers. Okay, so if this fraction would give you a repeating decimal, then you want to leave it as a fraction. That's the best way. Okay? So again, no solving those ones. Let's go on to the next example. Okay, example 4 says Blanca correctly answered 23 of the 25 questions. What percent of the questions did she answer correctly? Okay, so basically here we're trying to figure out what percent of 25 questions is 23. Okay? So I want to know what percent of 25 questions is getting 23 right. So again, two methods we can use. All right, we can use the percent times the whole equals the part, or we can use is over of equals percent over 100. Whichever way you like the best. Well, here we want to know what percent, so we don't know this. So I'm going to put a P in for the percent times my whole, that's the number of questions that were possible, 25, equals, and my part is 23. Okay, so to solve this, I've got 25 times P equals 23. So I would divide by 25 on both sides. Okay, and 23 divided by 25 is 0.92. Well, now we need to write 0.92 as a percent. Okay, so that is the same as 92%. Now again, we can use the is over of method. Okay, so we got is 23, that goes in the is spot. That's our part. Of 25, so 25 goes in the of part. And we want to know what percent. So that means I put a P in for the percent. And we can solve using the cross products method. So we get 25 times P equals 23 times 100 is 2300. And then I would divide by 25. And 2300 divided by 25 is 92. Okay, so we would get 92%. And either one of those methods works. Okay, very well. Again, you pick which one you like the best. And that's it for your lesson. So happy homeworking. Another example.